My girlfriend went bankrupt and gave me to a rich heiress to pay off her debts and to escape the heiress. I pretended to obey her every word while secretly contacting my girlfriend to get me out. Later at a dinner party, my girlfriend said I was too cold and arrogant, and asked the heiress to put up with me, and right then my heart completely died. I started accepting the heiress' affection, but then my girlfriend regretted it. I never expected to run into Chloe at the studio, and after 3 years, she became a rising business star with no trace of her past desperation. After the interview, she stopped me. Chase, long time no see, and Chloe dropped her hands by her sides, unconsciously fidgeting as I asked her with a hoarse voice, "Is she treating you well?" And I paused while organizing my script without answering. Seeing I didn't want to talk about it, Chloe quickly changed the subject. "Chase, I haven't congratulated you on becoming a famous host yet," and her eyes landed on me. With some nostalgia, as the future we dreamed of when we were young is exactly today. I looked up and my cool gaze made Chloe shut up, and just as she was, "Oh now," and wanted to say more, my assistant rushed up to me and said, "Chase, are you done packing because Stella is here to pick you up?" I looked at her and she seemed a bit unhappy, so I froze for a second, and immediately put down my stuff saying, "I'm heading back right now." Before I could take 2 steps, Chloe subconsciously grabbed my arm. "Chase, if you are not doing well, I can figure out a way to bring you back." Her words were cut off by me before she could finish. "And then sell me off again like you did back then." And I looked at Chloe, with eyes full of mockery, saying, "You were the one who handed me over to her back then, weren't you?" Chloe and I grew up together and we were the couple everyone envied on campus. Everything changed when Chloe's startup failed in her junior year, and she needed a huge amount of capital, which was a debt that our middle-class families could never pay off even if we sold everything. And right at that time, Stella, the rich heiress, posted a job opening, offering $50 million for a sleep companion requiring someone her age from the same school, who won speech contests in elementary and middle school, and currently works at the broadcasting club, even specifying height, weight, and hairstyle. So detailed it might as well have my name on it. The forum blew up and someone leaked that the heiress really suffers from insomnia. But why hire a sleep companion instead of seeing a doctor for insomnia? So most people thought it was just a trick for the heiress to pursue me. And just as I was about to find Stella to clear things up, Chloe stopped me and said, "Chase, I have never asked you for anything in my life, but this time only you can help me." And Stella wrapped her arms around my waist. "What are you standing out here thinking about?" And she pulled me into the car with one hand. "Is everyone at your station dead?" And Stella grabbed my cold hands, with a face so dark it could drip ink, saying, "Is this small interview really worth you ditching me?" I rushed over in the cold wind, and it better not be to see some childhood sweetheart you haven't seen in ages. I was about to explain when a spoon was shoved right to my mouth. Stella fiercely held a thermos and said, "Before you finish this pear soup, you are not allowed to say a single word," and by the time I was allowed to speak, the car had already reached the residence and Stella dragged me to the dining table without a word, forcing me to eat an extra half bowl of rice, saying she fed me for 3 years, and I still lost a pound. People who don't know will think I'm abusing you, and she pulled out a book from somewhere, saying I want to hear this tonight, and it was the exact same fairy tale she made me read 3 years ago. This heiress has a terrible temper, and everyone knows she is moody. And from the very first night I entered her villa, everyone was betting that I would be tortured and end up covered in bruises. But things didn't go as they expected, because the moment I walked in, a fairy tale book was thrown in front of me, and Stella sat on the sofa, with her eyes half closed, waving at me, asking, "What are you standing there for?" "I want to hear Cinderella, no wait, Snow White." She realized her slip of the tongue and clicked her tongue impatiently. "Just read the one where the girl gets scammed by a jerk and turns into sea foam." I picked up the book and sat cross-legged on the floor, and The Little Mermaid isn't very long. Stella was very restless while listening, and kept making faces the whole time. Until the story ended, she finally looked at me coolly and asked, "What did you learn from it?" I suddenly leaned forward and covered her bloodshot eyes with both hands, saying, "Miss, you need to sleep," and after that, I never saw that fairy tale book again. Stella seemed to remember it too and said, "You haven't written your reflections online yet. Double it, no triple it. I want a 3,000-word essay." I was silent for a moment, and then decisively explained to the jealous woman. I only found out the guest was Chloe when I got there, and I was not being nostalgic, and I am not lovesick, and seeing Stella's unmoved expression, I helplessly raised my fingers and swore I will never see her again. After I finally coaxed her and made my vows, I unexpectedly ran into Chloe again, but this time at a dinner party I was attending with Stella. I didn't like the vibe in the private room, so I stepped out for air, and when I came back, people from the next room came in to schmooze, and Stella has a huge temper. So the people coming to say hello didn't expect any response from the heiress, and they just drank 3 shots on their own, trying to get on her good side. When it was Chloe's turn, she suddenly acted on impulse, and bowed to the woman looking at her phone, saying, "Chase never had it rough growing up, so his personality is a bit cold, and if he offended you in any way, please bear with him." And Stella put down her phone upon hearing this, and leaned back casually glancing at Chloe. "Bear with him," and she repeated those words, and suddenly laughed while I didn't say a word. And he doesn't dare say a thing. So what exactly am I supposed to bear with? Chloe's expression instantly froze, and everyone stared at the floor in dead silence, with expressions getting more and more awkward, and the next toast was frozen in midair, and the guy wiped the sweat off his forehead and smiled while flattering her, saying the heiress has great skills and I admire it. The others also snapped out of it and came forward giving thumbs up and praising her, saying being cold and arrogant is nothing, and even cold people bow down, willingly to boss Stella's charm, and Stella frowned. And before he could speak, I pushed the door and walked in. Before I even reached Stella, she kicked away the guy blocking her path, and grabbed her expensive blazer nearby to wipe the chair, but still wasn't satisfied, so she flipped the jacket inside out, showing the soft lining, and spread it on the chair, and I sat down expressionless, and licked my dry lips, and before I could even speak, a cup of hot tea was brought to my lips, and everyone looked at each other, and the guys who were just flattering her wished they could swallow their words back down. Stella's gaze swept across everyone and finally landed on Chloe's dark face, and with a wicked smile she said, "If you suck, just admit it." After provoking her, she even had someone add a seat for Chloe right across from us. Stella loves watching me eat at home, and this time she went all out serving me, peeling shrimp and removing fish bones, and whatever dish I even glanced at would end up in my bowl the next second, and I frowned while eating, and she naturally took away the dishes that I didn't like. I didn't get to say a single word during the entire meal. Stella had her fun and was in a good mood to speak, saying except for those 3 who can't speak properly, the rest can put their proposals on my desk. Everyone was thrilled and grabbed their proposals, and quickly stuffed them to the quiet assistant while saying, "Wishing you a happy marriage," and they were smart enough to see Stella didn't want to drink more, so they made up excuses and left, and the room emptied out instantly. But one clueless person didn't leave, and Chloe walked up to me, with a gentle smile saying, "Chase, your dad just texted me, saying he made a hangover soup for us." And while Stella looked like she wanted to crush her glass, Chloe continued, "And he also said he plans to finalize our engagement tonight," and my heart skipped a beat. And Emung D looked up at Stella, and she still had that smiling look, but it sent chills down my spine, and I quickly spoke up. Stella, let me explain. Stella coldly interrupted me, saying childhood sweethearts and an engagement. People who don't know would think I'm cheap enough to be a mistress, and she dropped that and stormed out. The room went quiet again, and Chloe frowned, asking does she always treat you like this and chase him back now? So you don't have to put up with her bad temper anymore. But before Chloe could finish, the door was heavily kicked and a timid waitress appeared at the door, saying the boss wants us to clean the room, so please leave right now. It was definitely Stella making a scene, so I rushed out to explain, but I was still a step too late and on the quiet street. There was only the roar of a luxury car speeding away, and Chloe suggested, let me drive you home, and I held my forehead, with barely suppressed anger, asking what exactly are you trying to do, and what right do you have to provoke her? But Chloe was happy, asking is Chase worrying about me, and I was completely enraged. But she just laughed it off, carelessly saying, let's go, the driver is here. We can talk when we get back, and the ride was silent, until I saw a luxury car parked downstairs in my old neighborhood where it didn't belong. I rushed upstairs 2 steps at a time and saw the door wide open from afar. Dad and Stella was leaning on the doorframe, looking past me casually, saying you are so slow. And I already finished the hangover soup, and Chloe slowly walked up and stopped next to me, saying she drove slow for safety, and Stella's face instantly went dark. Right then my dad fumbled his way out of the room, asking is that Chase back? I quickly stepped up to support him, saying, Dad, your eyes are bad, so don't make soup. My dad pulled his hand back, saying, what are you talking about? It wasn't for you anyway, and he turned to Stella with a big smile, saying, let me get you another bowl in this hangover soup. We'll guarantee you a good night's sleep and you won't have a headache in the morning. As soon as he said that, the hallway fell into a weird silence. He didn't notice anything wrong and continued, oh right, I haven't even asked who came. Is it Chase's colleague because my eyes are bad, and I can't see anything at night, so please forgive me. Chloe couldn't help but chuckle, and she walked over to my dad, saying Uncle Im right here, and she looked at Stella, saying the one standing next to you must be Chase's colleague, and Stella's knuckles turned white, gripping the doorframe. Seeing she was about to break down, I quickly squeezed past, and pulled my dad away from them, saying she's not a colleague, and I held Stella's hand. Dad, this is my girlfriend Stella, and my dad froze for a while before reacting, saying, oh Stella, it's so late and thank you for bringing Chase home. He suddenly became distant and said it's getting late, and it's not convenient to host you at this hour, so maybe you should head back. Stella stood there stiffly, realizing the warm welcome she got earlier was entirely because he mistook her for Chloe, and she ran a hand through her hair, trying to hold back her anger and make her voice sound natural, saying, Uncle, I will head back then, and she looked at me. Chase walked me downstairs, and I was about to agree, when my dad suddenly blocked me, saying, I think I forgot to turn off the stove. Chase, go check it out, and Stella's face was terrifyingly pale under the light. She stared right at me, waiting for my answer. I closed my eyes, not daring to look at her, and turned into the apartment. Stella finally lost it and cursed under her breath, saying, Chase,